Hey, what's going on? Ryan here, playing man, Triathlon.com. Here to bring you some quick tips talking about muscle cramps. I've suffered from. They've ended one of my Ironman races, Ironman Texas 2014. Cramped alongside the road, and after 45 minutes, it was time to go to the medical tent for some hydration to be able to move again. So I understand the struggle. A lot of my athletes have had problems with cramps. A lot of swimmers have cramps in the pool, all kinds of fun stuff. So we're going to talk some quick tips about muscle cramps. Let's dive into it. Number one, several reasons for cramps: dehydration, lack of minerals such as sodium or potassium, lack of muscular endurance, genetic predisposition to cramping. So everyone is different. There is no one set answer. If you watch any of these tips, that is a theme. No two people are the same. But there are some kind of universal things. Dehydration can lead to cramping. So if your muscles are just to the point where you have not replenish them enough for fluids, and that was my situation, then it's going to cause a problem, and it's going to do a crashing halt. Your body's going to say enough, and your muscles are going to cramp up and seize up, and they're not going to let go until you do something about it or stop what you're doing. So keep on top of your hydration situation, tracking it during training. Make sure you have a good game plan for race day. Lack of minerals. Usually the nutrition that you take in a race, bars, gels, stuff like that, usually has enough minerals for sodium or potassium for the average person. There's a few situations where an extra salty sweater might need some Gatorade Endurance, some salt tabs or something like that. But in the end, I've done another video talking about salt and hydration. It's just not, there's not enough information and studies and proven. It's all kind of anecdotal about what works for different people. And this is great for me, and some people didn't work for me, and some people I didn't need it. I don't need that kind of stuff. So usually the nutrition that's on course or you have planned already is enough. If it's not, test it out in training, and hopefully on race day it is what you definitely need. Lack of muscular endurance. So this is where you go through and you just missed a lot of your training. And then you go through and try to wing it on race day. You're just like, well, I missed those 100-mile bike rides for a couple of weeks, and I did 50 miles at a time, but I just don't know how this thing's going to go. Usually when you press beyond what you trained for, you're going to pay for it, and your muscles, just after a while, expanding, contracting, trying to push you along either on the bike or on the run, sometimes even on the swim, are just going to revolt, and it's like, nah, that's too much work, and I don't like this, and I'm going to cramp up on you. So make sure you do your training. And then there's some just genetic predisposition to cramping. It's just no matter what you do, whether you try pickle juice, base salts, whatever, you met all your training goals, sometimes it's just people cramp and they just have a predisposition to it. There are certain movements or positions I put myself into that I can cramp up no matter what. If I've done a workout for the day or if I haven't, hydrated or not hydrated, it doesn't matter. I just kind of put myself or contort in a different awkward position, and boom, there's a cramp, and just kind of get through it and work through it. Some people, that's the way they are. So keep that in mind. Number two, dehydration. So we talked about it a little bit. Goal after the bike ride is to be to 2 to 3% weight loss from fluids. So again, do that in training for my athletes, for my members, for the club members. I got a spreadsheet that tracks this information, so make sure you got that. So test it in training and make sure you have a good game plan for race day, so you're not ending the bike ride more than 2 to 3% dehydrated, because you're not going to make it up on the run no matter what, unless you're walking a lot. Number three, lack of minerals. You can attempt to go all fluids and get what you need, but if I like solids rather than a bike, hydration is key to help digest and absorb. So as I mentioned, usually minerals, you could get it with your food, but make sure you're doing your hydration well, because if you're not doing hydration properly, you're not going to absorb that stuff, and it's just going to sit in your stomach. So if you don't have fluids to move that through the system, that can cause a problem as well. So make sure, in addition to having that solid on the bike course or on the run course, you're flushing it down with some water too to get it through and digested. So number four, lack of muscular endurance. We talked about that. You skip the long days. The further you go on race day, the more and more you're going to tempt your muscles into saying, we're done for the day, we're going to quit, and we're going to do this cramping deal to make you stop doing what you're doing. So just be aware, you miss those long training days, you're probably going to pay for it on race day. Number five, genetics. Like I said, some people are just predisposition to it, and maybe it's just something that just happens, and you're just gonna have to manage it on race day. You're gonna have to figure out the best strategy to get around it. Do you need to walk it off? Do you need ice? Sometimes I found that putting some ice on certain areas and spots where it's cramping at kind of helps get past it. I stop. Sometimes it happens on the run. Stop to a walk, stretch it out, make sure I'm moving still. If I stop, sometimes it gets worse. Just not continually just to try to mentally just muscle through it and get through it. That's how I ended up DNFing at Miami, Texas, 2014. I thought I can just keep going. Tried to run through it, and it got worse and worse, and just didn't listen to my body, and sat down on a bench on the side of the road, take a rock out of my shoe, and that was the end of it. So make sure you listen to your body and your genetics and figure out what you need to do. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and figure out a way to get past it on race day. It's kind of one of those things that's trial and error in training and racing. I know some people don't like that. It's like, I just tell me what to do and how to do it. I wish I could. There's tons of different ways to do it out there. Like I said, training is the most important key to find out if you're going to try something. Do it on training day, long rides, long runs. Make sure your body can handle it. If I do hot shot personally, I can't handle it on the run. I can only do it on the bike. So I load up on the bike on the run. And it's just kind of managing, making sure that I'm hydrated on the run, and keep a track of nutrition on the run as well, not to go overboard. So that's keys for me, which may not be important for other people. Maybe base salts is their thing that gets them through it. Who knows? Make sure you test it out on training, and then when you hit race day, you have a plan, you stick to your plan, and then you go back and after the race, what did work? What didn't work? Did it work? Did it help you? Did you still cramp? Is that something you don't need next time? Maybe it's just superfluous, and it's like, well, I don't need base salts because I still cramped up. So let's move on to a different solution. So just keep that in mind. Maybe I think it was sodium oil, or Gatorade has a sweat patch out these days. It's commercial use, or it's available to everybody commercially. So you can get it. You can do the test. You can send it in. They can tell you if you're a salty sweater, if you're not, or whatever. If you think sodium is a problem, there's ways and things to go about doing it, so you can figure out a good game plan of race day and get there. So hopefully this helped you out. If it did, give it a like and thumbs up on Facebook, YouTube. Hit the subscribe on YouTube. Try to get to 1,000 subscribers. Help me get there. If you had any questions, have any comments, queries, or quagmires, put them in the comments on Facebook, YouTube. I get notifications. I'll go back and check them out. Comment on them if I need to. If you have any suggestions, I'm always ears. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about the videos. So with that, we're going to wrap this video up. Happy training out there, and we'll see you at the finish line.